Ooh. 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 No. Today I want to talk about the Mandela Effect. Mystery. The plausible explanations. Possible, plausible, and all the explanations. Magic. Ooh la la. So let's go down this little journey about the Mandela Effect. Alpha wave induction. Researchers at a university found that when you induce alpha waves in the brain, and cell phones actually do this, then people can shift from an awareness of external reality, what's going on around them, to internal representations of reality, so hallucinations, daydream kind of state, and they're not aware of that shift happening. So if I put you in the lab and then this alpha wave induction using technology similar to what the cell phones do to our brains, then you go from seeing what's real to seeing a hallucination of what's real. And you don't notice that the change has happened. The details of the reality that you're experiencing in that hallucination, daydreaming state might be slightly different than what you were experiencing in the external reality before you shifted. So this might suggest that the people that are experiencing the Mandela Effect, well, one of two things. Either they are more alert and observant and they're not accepting the hallucinated reality as real, or some people are having this happen to them and they are having hallucinated realities that don't match, that are shifting. Is creepy experiments going on? I don't know. There have been patents filed in the United States for inducing this alpha wave induction shift of awareness from external reality to internal representation of reality using different broadcasting means, so they can embed it in a signal. And one of the patents, it talks about embedding it in a signal, cell phone signal, broadcast TV signal, radio signal. Also, they don't actually have to embed it in a different signal. They can just broadcast it with nothing. So they could just have a cell tower that's emitting this, and then nobody knows. There's a patent for silent sound from 1974 where they had hypnotists say commands and orders and hypnotic suggestions, and they recorded them, and then they modulated it and either put it in the super low frequency or super high frequency so that it was inaudible. You couldn't actually hear it as a human being. Maybe dogs could, but we couldn't hear it as human beings. But our brains, because the information is still coming in, we just can't hear it. Our brain is still processing it and processing the message, and they're able to shape people's behavior and change people's moods. And then in 1992, they came out with a different patent for frequency following response, and that is where they can record a brain state. So if I put someone in a chair and then I'm recording this state of their brain waves, and then I stress them out and I make them panic, then I can modulate that. I can just do the shifting of it so that it's translated to micro pulses, and then I can take that information and send it through your cell tower, or I can embed it in the signal of your cell phone. So you're talking to your friend and you hear your friend, but what you don't hear is that pulse, and then your brain state synchronizes to that sent signal state, and then you panic and you feel all stressed, and your brain just synchronizes itself to the brain pattern that it's being exposed to. So you can induce fear or joy, excitement, panic, aggression, or passivity. If you want people to be really passive, then you record the passive brain state and then you pass it through this special software, and then you beam it out, and then everybody's passive, and then the tension is all gone. Or if you would like to have a riot, then you can use the brain state from someone that you're torturing and they're in a panic and all stressed out, and then you can just get everybody rioting if you would like to have some super fun Friday night in the inner city. The 1994 patent shows that this can be used for consciousness states, brain states, and for altering a mood, but also for thoughts. So you can also use this system to induce thoughts in some people. I suspect that the experiments in the lab worked well enough for them to apply for the patent and have it granted to them, but I don't think that it actually works well in normal everyday conditions. It probably does work well in the laboratory conditions for various reasons that we won't go into unless you want to talk about it, and then you can message me and we can talk about that. But I think in real life, there's probably too much information coming in, and our brains are very good at filtering out unnecessary information and stimulus. So I suspect that in the lab maybe it worked, and so it sounds really scary, but I don't think that anyone is able to use it as effectively. It probably has some effect, and some people are probably more susceptible to it than others, but I would say that a lot of people would not be susceptible to it. And I think over time, even though the patents say that there's a cumulative effect, so if you're getting this signal or this hypnotic suggestion through your cell phone when you're talking to your friends, there's this other signal that's being embedded in at the transmission tower. And you're also getting it when you're watching your TV show and when you're listening to your radio show, that cumulative effect enhances the suggestion. That's a possibility, but I suspect it might be the opposite. It might be that the brain starts to recognize the signal that's foreign and starts blocking it out or ignoring it, dismissing it. Because most healthy brains, I think, would figure out what's the foreign information coming from outside and what's the information that's being generated from inside the brain, and maybe would eventually distinguish well enough to cancel out some of the effects. But then the question is, who is experiencing the effect? I'm not so sure about. Is it the people that are experiencing the Mandela effect, who are seeing these changes that are, maybe it's a suggestion that things were different? I think that that's less plausible. It seems to me that would make more sense that what is currently being presented is what's false. So, and some people who are maybe less susceptible to the effect are remembering how it used to be. They're not accepting the hypnotic suggestion that Berenstain is what it is and has always been, or they're not accepting the hallucination of the Berenstain Bear books, and they're recalling in their internal representation, they know this does not fit with what it was before. Tricky. Some people have a really low tolerance level for cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance is when you have two different beliefs that contradict each other, and that makes you uncomfortable. And so then you will either reject one of the beliefs, or you will change it so that it fits into your belief system, or you'll just ignore it maybe. And other people have a higher threshold for cognitive dissonance. So those people are okay with having different beliefs or different perspectives on one thing that might be contradictory, and they just are okay to sit with that and say, until I have more information, then I maintain that these two different beliefs both have supporting evidence. And even though they're contradictory, I can see from different perspectives how they are both plausible explanations or plausible facts or events or outcomes or whatever. And so I can believe both or hold on to both, but knowing that they contradict each other, and knowing that eventually I'm hoping that there will be more information that comes to me that allows me to figure out which one is actually the better fit to reality. So which model or belief system with new information actually proves itself to be the correct one or the better one. And other people cannot wait for more information. The two belief systems, contradictory beliefs, stress, and so they just ignore one of them. Just, I don't want to know. And so some people think that that's maybe what's happening with people that aren't experiencing the Mandela effect. So some people will say, I remember the Berenstain Bears, and you ask them, how is it spelled? And they say EIN, and then you show them the book, and then they say, oh, I was misremembering, and now I remember it's always been the Berenstain Bears, of course. That would be trying to reduce cognitive dissonance, because it is too upsetting and disturbing that the world isn't stable, and you need so much to believe that things are predictable and stable and that you can understand how things are going to happen, that you dismiss the evidence of your own reality, of your own experiences, in order to match your internal representation of reality with what you're being shown is the external reality. Sometimes there are things that seem unrelated, but they are related, but we don't know until after we have the big picture. An example would be starving yourself for 4 days and emotional volatility, short-temperedness, and irritability. You might think it's unrelated. I think it's related. I'm on a crash diet, just trying to fit into my princess dress in a flattering way. Just this caloric restriction. So, whenever you say ladies be crazy, maybe ladies be dieting on a severe diet. Just severe caloric restriction. Cause this extreme restriction of calorie intake effect. All the deleting of the comments that are hurtful. Oh la la. Where was I going with this? Just the fatter bell curve of probabilities, and this is this is probably better for a different video, not this video. This is the introduction to the Mandela Effect video, not the weird talking about things that don't make sense to most people video. That's for another time.